What's fun is with all the cameras.
Lots of light.
There's at least 36 cameras in here.
We need more light.
And
what do you want? The world?
More light.
I'd like there to be the sun.
More power.
Light. I would definitely like there to be the
Fifth
sun.
Element fans they know that reference.
I'm
So-
more like
Fifth Element. Aziz Light.
So it used to be the show that I
Aziz
watched.
Light. Sorry.
That's relevant.
Yeah.
There used to be the show that I watched. Are you here?
Relevant?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the book to
okay.
have some fun. And there was this little kid, and whenever you
It's
wanted
like a
to
PBS show?
explore, and he
Okay.
would jump in, and then he would be
He would be the character
he would be in the book.
book.
He would just be in the book. He wouldn't necessarily be the character, but he could meet all the characters.
Okay. So it was like where the wild things are and he got eaten alive? Did he?
Does that happen?
I don't know.
Where wild things are?
I mean, at some point.
I don't remember.
It's a very famous book. I don't think I've read
It looked
that.
like they would eat you.
We couldn't read when those books were out. So.
Right. I could listen to the record.
Wow.
There's a record?
I don't know. That's what I used to do when I was a kid. I'd have a book with a record.
Like vinyl?
Yeah, vinyl. I was, 71, so that was
Right.
high tech. And you would play the record and you would read along.
Oh.
And then when Star Wars came out, I had a Star Wars record player. And R2-D2 would beep, and you know to turn the page. And then I would read along. Yeah.
That's
so-
probably worth some money.
Yeah.
If you would have kept it. I mean, I know you don't.
Nobody kept anything like that. They didn't know.
We have a VHS player still. So,
Yes, obviously.
which is awesome.
You have to.
That's really...
Actually, it's cool now.
It's a great
Like,
move.
I was talking to people over at, what's that place called on Bardstown Road? They sell, like, old records and stuff.
Is it Great Escape?
Oh, no.
That's what I
it's
was
a
thinking.
bigger place because they sell, like, game consoles and stuff like that. And I sell, like,
I know
old
what you're
Wii
talking
stuff.
about.
Oh,
Yeah.
GameStop.
GameStop? No, it's no, it's not GameStop.
No.
It's across from
Is it
the
literally
music
called-
place.
Is it literally just called Books, Music, and Movies?
Books, music, and...
Bridget
yeah,
is
yeah,
nodding, and
yeah.
she's our expert.
Yeah,
so,
Bridget knows everything.
So yeah, they're actually looking for like VHS. They're like, that's a big thing. Like all the
Well,
all the
it was
hipster kids want 'em.
fantastic when we stayed at your cabin.
Yeah.
And all you had was VHS. I loved it. I was like, it was so fun. You just
Yeah.
put it in. You're like, now we just
Watch
gotta
Endless
sit here and
Summer.
watch this.
Endless Summer.
We didn't
I
watch
watch it
Endless
every
Summer.
like twice a year.
What did we watch?
Pelican Brief.
Pelican Brief.
Oh wow,
As
that's
in,
old
we
tech.
went real intense.
Really old tech. That's how
Real
like,
old
they go
tech
on
intense.
the interweb.
Yeah, they go on the interweb and they're like
Find
scared about it.
things,
They're like,
yeah.
I bet we can learn stuff here.
Right. And get on Reddit and it ruins their life. I don't remember the
What, our 2 episodes ago was about Reddit,
Reddit. Yeah, that's why I came to
which
mind.
we can't which we can't explore any further.
No.
I have a quick divergence here for you
Sure.
that is dyslexic related.
Okay.
What does your inbox look like? Your email?
It's got about 5 unopenedly on purpose emails that I need to respond to. I mean, you're talking about my Gmail or my Outlook or my Hotmail?
I would
different ones.
say your your work email.
Work email.
Would you say? Hold on. Would you say you use your work email the most out of any of the emails, or the
Probably Gmail the most.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's
But
got
that's your-
it's got like 5 or 6 unopened emails because I need to do something about those.
Right, but your emails
about-
are only there if they're actively needing attention.
Right. Unopened.
What happens though if
You're laughing.
What happens though if you're not addressing, like your emails are done? Like you're like, okay, I've addressed that, that's over on any of your inboxes. What do you do with it?
Leave it in there. I've got like 20,000 emails. I can
It
reference
gives me
this with like a simple search. And I can
major
pull up all the
panic
ones.
attack.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
there's no
Really?
folders.
So it's not no. Well, I have, okay, my work has folders.
Everything goes
I
in
have
folders.
like 100 folders.
All right.
Yeah.
So if you're done,
There's a
let's say
TEDx folder,
I
advisory
email you something
folder.
about TEDx, and I'm like, hey Sean,
Accommodations folder. Yeah.
TEDx is awesome, and you're like, yeah, I know, but then we're done.
That might
right?
go in my 10-year binder. I have a 10-year one. So when I have to, like,
Regardless,
prove that I do
it
important
doesn't
stuff.
sit in your regular inbox anymore. It goes into a folder.
Right, but I have a regular inbox that has thousands of emails in it. Yes. Because I don't know if I need it. I might need it. I don't know.
Yeah, but why
Leave
doesn't it just go into like a folder?
Because it is a folder. Inbox is a folder. It's just a
All right,
catch-
Bridget,
it's a catch-up.
that's 3
Remember-
people. That's
okay.
3 people now. Bridget wins. We talked
Not-
about this
not a
today.
dyslexic thing, I guess.
No, I think
Remember we
I
talked
think
about the bins, right? Remember
Yeah,
when I told you
exactly.
about
Yeah,
bins,
yeah.
like stack it all up and it's chronological?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have emails from 2013 in that bin. Right, my bin is my inbox. All the stuff, like I will delete some stuff, but if I think I might need it one day, but it doesn't go in a folder. It just stays in the inbox.
Maybe I've trained myself out of that dyslexic habit because maybe that's a little dyslexic. Maybe it's a little ADHD.
Yeah, it could be. Well, or what do they call it? Obsessive
compulsive.
Yeah, maybe
a little bit of that.
I don't want to throw that around because people do, and it's really rude.
Yeah.
Like people.
No, and I'm not. When I say
no,
ADHD too,
thing.
it's like I don't know about it either. But I'm just like I don't think it's dyslexic, but I also think maybe my work or so has required me to have that all in one space, or I was taught that way.
Real quick, I'm just gonna turn down. Sorry for the interruption.
No.
Turn down this gain a
It
bit.
just ruined everything.
Yeah, we were really out of flow going, man. I even forgot you were over there.
Oh, the gain was too high.
Oh,
How about you don't peek the microphone, Jacob?
I don't peek the microphone.
Oh, yeah,
That
you
seems
can't do
more
that.
like a microphone problem.
That sounds like more of a you problem.
Like a sound check.
Yeah.
Okay,
Am I supposed to be peeking? Isn't that like?
I guess you're at that age.
Yeah.
You probably should be peaking. I'm not. I'm in
You're on the
decline.
down.
Yeah.
You're on the
it's all
decline. You're not
downhill
on the
from now
decline.
on.
You're doing great.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay.
You're good. You're good.
Go, Lucas.
Yeah.
Keep us from peaking.
That's why we have. Yeah.
The last thing we want to do is peak. Last thing I want to do. We're going for mediocre here, man.
Yeah, we're going mediocre only because if we get further than that, it makes us
Don't
uncomfortable.
want to
Going
peak.
up, not down.
You had maybe a story.
Oh,
Might be
yeah.
gone now. Okay.
Well, yeah. Okay, so I don't know if it doesn't have to do with dyslexia, but in the early days of Hotmail, so you know Hotmail, right?
You've got mail.
No, that's
That's AOL.
AOL.
Sorry.
So that was paid for. You had to pay for that. So the first free email was Hotmail. So you got a free Hotmail, but they limited your space to 1 meg.
that seems
1
small.
meg.
Seems
Okay, so
really
a standard email
small. So
with
like only
text
one
is like
person named Meg.
maybe
could hold your
20K.
emails?
Yeah, 1,000K basically.
Wow.
That's all you got. And so
We
it was
just
a
got it.
regular thing for Christy and I to sit in the computer lab at college, because that was the only place we could get a computer with the internet, and we would delete emails off our Hotmail or download them onto a floppy disk so that we had access to it. Oh my God. So can you imagine how stressful that was?
That makes me want to
1
vomit.
meg. Okay.
And so now you're just
Like
so now I get it. Now you're just like I
have
all
a
the room in
limited
the world.
space.
I can put
don't
all the
get-
emails anywhere I
don't have
want.
to delete it. Yeah. So it's digital waste, basically, is what we're going with now. So we have like the opposite problem. I have like thousands of photos, and they're not organized, right? So it's like, oh, problem. Up comes the AI. AI can do all that for
Oh,
you.
and they can
So
just
now like,
organize
I
all
get
of
on
it.
my Google folder and I'm like, Siri, my daughter Siri. All pictures of Siri show up, which is really creepy that Google knows what my daughter Siri looks like. And
But
can
it's
find
also
her.
incredibly convenient.
It's so helpful. Now I can have a whole chronological thing. If I wanted to do like a little video for, or whatever, I have all the little pictures that I took. It's all right there. So there is digital waste, and that's what I'm creating. But I'm relying on AI to help me find those things. And that's, I think, what this report is talking about. Like the weaknesses or the challenges of a
weaknesses
dyslexic.
is fine.
It's
I'm not. No, we're not
They
doing
call it challenge. I'm trying
We're
to
not doing
use-
political words here, in my mind, because it's like they really are weaknesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there are also challenges. The
Yeah.
challenge of being
The challenge of the
organized
weakness.
and spelling is now
Yep.
being mitigated by AI and
Yep.
apps like Grammarly and things like
And
that.
I think that it's cool because we have these reports and because we have these articles, it's allowing the people that are making the decisions to understand that they need to be looking in these directions, right? They need to say, hey, maybe this traditional idea that them being the CEO, executive, whatever, was judged by while I was going up in my career are no longer the standards. Right. And I think that I don't know how I don't know if that's going to work in all companies. Like I think that some companies will be like, no, we're going to stick with this traditional model because you know how companies get outdated, right? And they have a problem. Like the biggest company at the turn of the
like Sears
from that. Yeah, it's just about to say that.
Yeah.
And GE in the 1980s, right? It was the largest company in the world, and now it's pretty much gone.
Wow.
And it happens in cycles. And I think that the companies that don't focus on these types of things are the ones that start to go down.
Right.
And I'd be interested if we could do it, and we just don't have the ability. But if we could do it and look back and say, leadership is a huge thing when it comes to analyzing companies. Like if you're going to buy a company, you want to look at leaderships, you want to look at like 10 other things. Lucas and I saw it in a class we were doing in the MBA program. But what's so fascinating is this type of stuff, you don't always know when it's going to come, right? Like if it's employee value or if it's company value or if it's product value, and you don't really know what to pay attention to. It's kind of like these people with these new eras of like Bitcoin or new social medias that come out. You're like, that could be the next big thing. And then sometimes it's not.
Right.
And so
Beanie Babies.
Beanie Babies.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if that's what maybe some people will fall short of on the executive teams of companies when looking at neurodiversity. I wonder if they're like, well, I being the executive, am not neurodiverse. Therefore, I don't see
a need for that.
A need for this or how this could be a thing because I was very successful, right?
Right.
If that makes sense?
Yeah.
Because I think that it could be a new reason for companies to fall by the wayside and be the next Sears or be the next GE. I'd be interested in what companies like Walmart and stuff like that are doing when they look at new executives.
I don't know if they're looking for
I wouldn't say they
creative problem solvers.
Yeah, go.
You know, that
yeah,
kind of
throw
thing.
some of those out there because I think that
they had these strengths, and they're really clear to point out that not there's like individual level that might be different based on the dyslexic person, and that's one thing we're like really struggling with, like because I think we have a very similar take on dyslexia, the way we think and the way we process stuff.
Minus email,
but there might be other dyslexic people that are very strong in areas that we're not.
Yep,
and that's what's kind of mind-boggling to me.
Yep.
But so they have the little grayscale thing, so lighter, very strong, exceptional. So maybe this was in color. I didn't print it out in color. So to me, exceptional and strong has a similar shade. So that's very not helpful.
Yeah.
If you're designing anything,
this is a great note. I've heard this. Do it.
Exceptional should be very dark.
Yep.
Very strong should be lighter, and strong should be the lightest, right?
Yep.
You want to do density, right? It's just like common sense.
Yep.
That the darker the color is,
see,
the more
that's
dense
all.
it is.
But that's also dyslexic mindset, I think.
Well, it's like chocolate milk. The more chocolate in there, the darker the milk's going to be, right?
Yep.
That's how this should be organized, and they didn't do it.
So it's the chocolate milk principle.
It's
Have you
chocolate
written
milk.
anything on that yet?
No.
Because I think you should write.
That's how I explain it to my students.
You should write a design like theory.
I mean, that's
called
a very
the chocolate milk
common
principle.
Principle in Tech Com is density denotes density, right?
Yep.
Density is density.
Yep.
Like that's physical learning, right?
Right.
You just see it.
But regardless,
Yeah. So there's like
minus
visual,
the poor
and physical
design.
visual. That's a physical visual.
As we go back to these articles, were not designed by dyslexics.
Right, obviously. So they have. So I can't tell which one's strong or not because it's the same as exceptional. But they have all these things about skills and abilities and tasks. So which one do you want to go through?
Let's just do abilities.
Abilities. I like that. So originality.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, we did this.
that's original.
That's original.
I don't know.
I'm
There's
gonna
a couple out
I'm
there.
gonna check mark ourselves
But,
off of these abilities.
I mean, I would say like we can generally come up with an original idea.
Yeah.
I'm in a meeting and we have a problem, and I'm like, well, what about this? And they're like,
that's
oh,
why
yeah.
I think
totally
I
works.
was hired to my new job
Yeah.
was originality. So I think that's definitely a piece.
Do you have an example?
So
Do we have time? No.
no, we don't have time. So
We have spatial abilities.
2 minutes.
We can go a little over. Let's do
So
all
you
these.
okay.
I
So
don't.
Yeah.
That was the whole time that he was doing sound checks.
So I do have an example,
Okay.
and I talked about this. So really, really like 30,000 foot view in my industry, it's really difficult to get a vehicle. Just as a background, I work for Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. I work as associated with commercial stores, so larger tires that go on semi trucks that bring you your knickknacks and whatnot, widgets, and it's very difficult to get a truck into the shop between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., right?
Okay.
Because those
They're
trucks are
out.
all over the place.
Right.
Yep. So what I did, and I was one of the first people at one of our commercial centers to do this, was I decided very quickly, I was like, well, why don't we just lock off a space? We have a large parking lot that's unnecessarily large. Why don't we mark off a space that trucks can check in and check out? So they can they have a code that each company has a specific code. They can code in. They can't access any of the store. I want to make that very clear to Goodyear if anybody sees this. They can't access any of the tires. They can't access the store. They can drop their trailer or their truck, and then they can leave. Or in this case, they drop their trailer, and then they could leave. So if you guys understand semi-trucks, you can drop a trailer. The truck is on its own.
Right.
You can drive off. You lock it back. So it was a very creative solution to a complex problem because we were losing business because the company was like, I'm not able to get it within your hours.
Right.
And we were like, well, just leave it there. And then you leave in our lockbox. We created a lockbox for you could put your needs. So you'd say, this is what I need to be looked at. I need a PM. I need a XYZ, a lot of terminology. But I designed that program, and we used it at this store. And that's a creative solution to what was a really, and it brought in, and that's the kind of thing that's I find so exciting about having this mindset in business that brings in hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Right. All of a sudden, just an idea. It's like, oh, we can do that. Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, yeah,
all right. Now we've right. It's so fascinating because it's like, I love business and I love being able to have these mindsets in business because ideas and creativity directly contribute to dollars.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, okay, so just because I had that idea out loud in a meeting, that brought in real dollars. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I just think it's really fascinating.
You could see a return on your idea.
Right. Something that was completely unreal, untangible, you couldn't grab it, is now real dollars.
Really happening.
Yeah, now it's really happening. And yeah, I think that's really cool, and that's where I see that ability come in a lot in my work, and there's tons of examples of that.
Yeah. And this is exactly what this report is all about. It's like you want dyslexic people in the board meeting rooms with you to come up with some ideas, and that's a good example. Originality. Yeah. So
I think it's really cool.
We probably should stop there.
Do we want to roll, or do we want to keep?
I mean,
what do you think?
What do you think, Lucas? You're the director.
How much more do we have to go?
Oh, there's a bunch, but we could do. There's one idea generation and reasoning abilities.
That's big.
Yeah. And that's something that we've talked about in the past podcasts. Is something that I really enjoy doing. Working with a student who's like, hey, I don't know what to do, or even a PhD candidate who's trying to figure out a topic for the dissertation.
Right.
Like, talk to me for like half an hour and you'll have a couple ideas. Like,
that's so cool. Is that how you approach it too? You're just like, let's bounce
talk.
Back and forth?
Well, people would we talked about this, people would like take me out for coffee and like, this is what I'm thinking. And I'm like, well, what about that? And I'm like, oh yeah, totally didn't think of that. Let's do it. Has that been happening for a lot of your teaching career? Do you think that's a new? Okay. Yeah, I have students who are like, I don't know what to do. I've got a project. I don't know what to do. Let's talk.
Yeah.
By the end, they're like, okay, got a couple ideas.
That's fascinating.
Pick the one you want. I love it. It's for me, it's like fun.
Yeah.
It's like a crossword puzzle.
Well, it's exactly like doing this, right? Like whenever you and I are riffing about ideas to talk about here, it's always just fun. Yeah. We're just like, oh, this is stuff we've been dealing with our entire lives.
Right.
So
yeah. And
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, like I said, man, this is like an amazing time when we can talk to computers. Computers understand us.
I would love to
start to program with computer through voice. Can you imagine like talking to a computer
and that's what it's going to be.
Ideas out there. That's what's happening.
It's going to be. It's very similar to like what our Outlook email is doing, where it's like finishing your sentences.
Yeah.
Right.
I love that.
And I think that's fantastic. But it's also going to happen eventually verbally. Right. They're like, hey, computer, I'm thinking about Star Trek style. Right. I'm thinking about doing XYZ. And the computer is like, are you sure you don't want to do blah, blah, blah? And it says it out loud. Now you're having a conversation with this computer about what you're about to type or say.
It's not there yet, but it's getting
there. It's not.
There.
That's what I'm saying.
Cortana and Alexa.
But that's coming, and it's good and bad, right? Because I think what's scary to me is that while that's very helpful to our mindset, it's very helpful to dyslexia. What could happen is it just turns into computers talking to computers.
Oh, that will happen.
Yep, because
it already is happening.
Right, because most of what I type in an email has been suggested by a computer, and then a computer suggested that response back to the person that was typing it. Now, really, it's just a computer talking to a computer.
Well, you've seen that with Google has that app, or I don't know if they've released it yet, but it can actually like make a reservation for you, like at a restaurant. And it sounds like a person. It goes, how about 6 o'clock? That kind of thing. You seen that? That was a couple years ago.
I haven't seen
It's been a while. And then it can understand like different accents. So like you're going to the Mexican restaurant. Might have a different accent than the Chinese restaurant, right? But it can understand and roll with it and like suggest other times. No, we're full. How about 6:30? And then it automatically books it, puts it in your calendar. You're done.
See, what I don't like is the
voice assistant of some kind.
Right, but that I don't like is when the like large companies are like, I am a trained assistant. Like I can respond to voice commands. Every time I hear that, I'm like, no, you can't.
Right.
Like, you can't handle
Yeah,
this.
the little like bot.
Yeah.
Like,
and I'm like,
ask
you're
me a
not.
question. I type a question like, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's still working on it.
And I think that's good for us, as in like the dyslexic, learning difference disability community. But I also think that it's going to be challenging in the future for how we decide to communicate, right? Because I don't know if it's really going to create authentic communication.
No, it'll be productive.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think with dyslexic learning and dyslexic communication, there's nothing for me like being in front of somebody talking.
Yep.
Phone, computers, anything else is totally not the same.
Yep.
Because I like to see who I'm talking to, and I like to read their face and read their body language and all that. That's what I do.
And what this stuff keeps leaving out, we've read a couple of these articles now over the episodes, and what this stuff keeps leaving out is that importance of face-to-face communication, I feel like, right?
Yeah.
It's talking very analytically about the processes, about the strengths, about the weaknesses, abilities, tasks, how strong they are, but it doesn't talk about the need and the power to just exclusively, and maybe it does, but like just to exclusively connect with people, right? Like if I sit down in front of somebody, I'm going to connect with them in some way.
What they are saying is it's important.
Yes, but there's no
dyslexic people can do it.
But there's no like. That's what I'm talking about with the 30,000 foot.
Yeah, they got to codify it.
Yep.
Yeah. There's
codify
still
it.
like active listening is one of the things here.
Yep.
So it's like,
It's like
kinda
active
there.
listening. It's like that's just like a buzzword I could fill in on my LinkedIn.
Right.
Active listening is far more complicated than.
And that's the thing when we talk about this, like it's just really tough to kind of nail down what these things are and what they look like.
We over like I don't know. We put too much terminology into it, right? Because you're like what you're
It's
saying.
not a dyslexic thing, right? There.
Right. Yeah, and it's
Because what do you mean by that?
right? Because that's what we're gonna do.
That's what dyslexic people do.
We're gonna take a look at
overanalyze every word.
We're gonna take a look at a list like this, like we would on a Scantron test, and people that are dyslexic will connect to this a lot.
Yeah.
And we're gonna say, well, it could be any one of these.
Yep.
Very easily.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if you sit down in front of a professor that's giving that test, you could easily argue any Scantron test, and the professor would be like, yeah.
Yep.
Right? It's not like it's just in our weird brains we're saying this is connected. We can create a genuine connection.
Connected.
And it show you is a
That's
great
what
word.
we do better with oral examinations
Yep.
and with paper tests.
And I think it's fascinating because I don't know if that's anything that you're going to be able to put into an article.
Right. Not yet.
How do you do that? How do you begin to, because you've been involved
You're
in
going to put
some of
a
this
thing
kind
on
of
your brain,
Yep.
and the computer's going to read your brain and then tell you.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it's going to be. Until then, we got this. So, is this helpful? Yes. If you're a CEO, get this report, read it, get dyslexic people on your
to
team.
get the idea of the report, it is
1 in 10, 1 in 5, 2 in 5, like we don't know, but
All these harsh
there's some of us out there, and I think we can make a difference. We can help you make more money during the day when
exactly.
you got to get your tires changed.
Yep.
There's other things too. So,
I'll have our stock images on my site. I was
Stock
going to say the title again, but I don't have the. I don't have the
it's
paper
somewhere.
anymore.
It's in a
I don't know
pile
where it is.
somewhere.
Yeah, we have like 13 piles here, but yeah. So I think it's good. I think it'll be good for CEOs.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
And this is like the golden, like it said, the golden age of dyslexia.
Yeah.
So, except like for the last 500 years, it's been rough, but
Yeah.
now it's better.
But thank you, British,
Woo!
and we are back in it.
Yep. All right.
Thank you everyone for joining us on Dyslexics Untied. New episodes every Friday on Spotify and every Saturday on YouTube. Also, catch us on TikTok.
Did you know that Scotland's national animal is in fact the unicorn?